So here I've just taken about 3 light green chilies, I've taken an inch of ginger and about 2 cloves of garlic and some fresh coriander which I've washed thoroughly. Now I'm going to add all of this to my blender and a little bit of salt to taste. And I'm going to grind this to a thick paste. Now we're not going to add any water at all. We want a very thick paste and not a runny and liquidy paste. And then for that extra flavor and to retain the beautiful green color, I'm just going to squeeze half a lemon. And that's our chutney for this recipe. So I'm just going to transfer this to a bowl. And we have our chutney ready for today's recipe. Now the next thing is to prep the eggs. So I'm just working with 2 eggs. So I'm going to add the eggs to some water and I'm going to bring this to a boil. And once the water begins to boil, I'm going to lower the flame and put a timer of 10 minutes and boil it for exactly 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I'm going to switch off the heat and just cover the pot and keep it aside till it cools down completely to room temperature. Then I'm going to peel the eggs once the eggs are nice and cool and you can handle them. Then I'm going to refrigerate the eggs and then I'm going to peel them because it works much easier when they're peeled. When they're cool, and then I'm going to cut them up into halves. So that's how the eggs have to be prepped. And now let's start with today's egg chutney chops recipe, which is super simple and really very delicious. Now I've also boiled some potatoes. All I've done is I've taken 4 medium-sized potatoes, put them in a pressure pan, boiled them on a high whistle, on 1 whistle on high, and then simmered for 10 minutes and then completely cooled down the potatoes. This is the potatoes and I have just smashed them up. This is half an onion which I've chopped fine. This is some breadcrumbs which we're going to use. This is some chaat masala, about a teaspoon of chaat masala, some pepper powder, a little bit of corn flour and water, which we're going to make a slurry with. Now all ingredients with their exact measurements are going to be in the description box below. Now you could also use 1 egg, beaten egg in place of this corn flour. But the corn flour adds a lovely, nice, crispy, texture to this egg chop. But you can use 1 egg, beaten egg too, in place of this corn flour slurry. So now I'm going to prepare the potato covering for the egg chop. So my potatoes are very nice and cooled down completely to room temperature. And now I'm going to add my pepper powder, some chaat masala. I'm also going to add some salt to taste. And I'm going to add my finely chopped onion. Now I'm going to mix everything well. What the onion does is it gives a lovely crunch to this egg chop, and it really adds that extra, it just elevates the dish to another level by adding this onion. So now let's assemble our egg chop. So first I'm going to take a lime size ball of the potatoes. And I'm going to flatten it out on the palm of my hand like this. Make it completely flat. Spread it out as much as you can. So now I'm going to add a layer of this chutney. Now the chutney has to be dry. It shouldn't be watery. That's why we've not added any water while grinding the chutney. Then I'm going to put the egg with the yolk side down, and then I'm going to cover it up with the potato filling as much as I can on one side, and then you can use a little more of the potato filling on the top. Put a little bit more of chutney so that this chutney evenly spread around the egg. And do the same thing with the remaining part of the potato. Just flatten it up and then put it on top of the chutney, and then just shape the entire thing to look like an egg, an oval shape. Just seal up all the parts where the chutney can be seen with the potato. And keep them aside. Now some tips I'd like to share with you here is what you can do is boil your potatoes. If you're going to make these egg chops, boil them. Suppose you're going to make the egg chops in the evening. So boil the potatoes and completely cool them in your refrigerator in the morning itself. Same with the eggs also. Before you peel the eggs, see that they're completely, cool down, and so that you get the typical hard boiled egg and it doesn't become runny and you don't get the soft boiled egg. So you can prep all your stuff and then just assemble everything. Even the chutney, you can prepare it in the morning and keep it. So it's, even if you keep it in the refrigerator, it's much easier to handle. So if you prep up everything, then you just have to assemble all of this, just dip it into some corn slurry and fry it. So this is a super simple recipe to prepare when your family members are hungry or when you're hungry, and it makes an awesome snack. Now with 2 eggs, I got exactly 4 egg chops. So depending on how many egg chops you require, you can do the math. And like for 2 egg chops, you require 1 egg. So you know how to calculate, guys. And I also have a recipe of how to make homemade breadcrumbs from leftover sides of the bread slices. So you can watch that at the end of the video. So if you don't have breadcrumbs at home, but if you have some bread slices, or if you have retained the sides of the bread slices, then there's an easy recipe of how you can make your own breadcrumbs. You can watch the video. It's at the end of this video. And now I'm just going to fry it. I'm not adding too much of oil. I'm not deep frying it, but just a little bit of oil, just so the outside of the egg chop becomes nice and golden brown, because everything else is actually cooked. So we don't really need to deep fry this. So even if you fry it a little bit more than, a little more oil than you would with shallow frying, that serves the purpose. So we're just looking for that lovely golden brown color. We don't want a very dark color, just a light golden brown color like this. And it's as simple as that. And then once you're done with frying, just drain the excess oil on a kitchen napkin or a kitchen towel. And then you can just cut the egg chop into half and serve it with some lovely tomato ketchup or some chutney. And as you can see, it's nice and golden brown in color. And drain out the excess oil. And then once you cut it up, you'll see how beautifully the chutney and the egg, the chutney has, coated the egg right round, and it's just a superb and delicious snack to have. So to make the bread crumbs out of the leftover bread sides, what I've done is I've just roasted all the bread sides that I've collected till nice and crispy. And then once they cool to room temperature, I'm just going to grind them to a very fine powder. And then once it's completely cool, I'm going to transfer it to a glass jar and I'm going to store it. And this lasts for almost a month if stored in a... So friends, let's start with today's recipe. Now I've taken 4 large eggs and I've brought the, just boiled them in some water for about 15 minutes. So let them boil in this water for 15 minutes and then transfer them to a bowl which has got, room temperature water. Let it sit in that for 15 minutes. Then when it's, it's in like at room temperature and you can handle the eggs, then you just start peeling the eggs and keep them in a separate bowl. Because if the eggs are hot and you try to peel them, then all the peel and the egg part also does come off. So let it cool to room temperature. Then we're just going to cut them up into halves and we're just going to scoop out the yolks in a separate bowl. So in this way, just cut the eggs up into half and take a spoon, and the yolks will come out very, very easily. So these are hard boiled eggs. That is, you have to boil them for 15 minutes and then let them sit in room temperature water for another 10 to 15 minutes. And once you're able to handle the eggs, only then start, shelling them or de-peeling or peeling them. That way, the eggs won't break, etc. So now I'm going to take these yolks and I'm going to mash them up really, really well with the back of a spoon. Now I'm going to add some English mustard sauce to this, about a teaspoon. Next, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. Mash everything really, really well. It has to be a very, very smooth kind of paste. Now I'm going to add about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper powder. Then I'm going to add some salt to taste and again mix everything really well. So you have to have this very thick kind of a consistency of the paste. It shouldn't be too runny. And now I'm just going to add about 3/4 of a teaspoon of Tabasco sauce. This really, brings up the flavor of the yolks, and it just elevates the dish to another level. Now I'm just going to put this into a piping bag. You can use, a spoon and just put it into the white of the egg. But otherwise, if you use a piping bag, then it really, you can make, it just goes into the right place and it looks pretty too. And then just garnish it with some coriander. I had spring onions at home, so I just chopped them very fine. If you wanted a little spicy, you can just sprinkle a little bit of red chili powder on top too. And that's it, friends. Your lovely egg starters are all ready. Try out this dish, friends. It's really, really simple and very, very tasty. So for our ingredients, we're going to require these hard-boiled eggs. I'm using about 4 of them. Stick till the end of the video to see how I prepare these hard-boiled eggs. Besides that, I require half a teaspoon of cumin powder or jeera powder. You can just roast the jeera and grind it in your mixer. Then I require half a teaspoon of pepper powder. I did the same. I just took some few black peppercorns, roasted them and ground them. Then I have used about half a teaspoon of coriander powder or dhania powder. So I have a video in which I prepared all these in a little bigger quantity and stored them. I'll leave a link below. Then I require half a teaspoon of Kashmiri red chili powder. This adds a lovely color to this dish. Besides that, I'm also using about half a teaspoon of red chili powder for the spice. You can alter it to about 1/4 teaspoon if you don't want it very spicy. Then I'm also going to be adding about 1/4 teaspoon of garam masala. This is homemade. I'll leave a link below of how I prepare my homemade garam masala. Besides this, I'm also using about 1/4 teaspoon of turmeric powder or haldi powder and some salt to taste. Now, these are all the dry ingredients that we're going to be using, all the powder masalas. Now, besides this, I'm also going to be chopping up some fresh coriander. Now, what I like to do with coriander is always soak it in some water to which about a teaspoon of salt has been added. And I like to keep it aside for about 10 minutes and then drain off all the grime and dirt and then give it a thorough wash. And then like to chop it up. So this is about roughly half a cup of chopped coriander. Now here I have one onion, a medium-sized onion. I've washed the onion and now I'm just going to peel it up, cut off all the ends, and I'm going to chop it up nice and fine. So I'm using a red onion. If you don't have access to red onions, you can use white onions or any of the onions that you have in your home or your pantry, and chop it up fine. Now I'm also going to be chopping up one light green chili, which I've washed, and I'm going to chop it up nice and fine. Now that we have all our ingredients, let's get started with preparing this amazing boiled egg burji. So here I'm heating about 1 tablespoon of oil in a pan. Once my oil is nice and hot on a medium to low flame, I'm going to be adding up my chopped green chili. I'm going to let this fry a little bit so that it flavors the oil with the chili. Now I'm going to be adding my chopped up onion. Now we're going to fry this onion till it becomes nice and translucent. Once that is done, we're going to add all our powders, starting with turmeric, red chili powder. Add that and mix it in well. Next, we're going to be adding the coriander powder and the cumin powder. Now we're going to add our roasted black pepper powder and Kashmiri chili powder and a little bit of garam masala. We're going to fry all of this well. And now we're going to add our hard-boiled eggs. What I've done is I've just chopped it up into cube-sized bits. And then we're going to mix everything really very well together. Now we're going to add some salt to taste. Again, mix in well. And then all we have to do is just garnish it with some lovely chopped up coriander or cilantro. And your boiled egg burji is all ready. This goes really well with some pav or some rotis, chapatis. It's an amazing breakfast idea. I also have a recipe for egg masala. I will leave a link below. So now let me explain to you how I boil these hard-boiled eggs. What I do is I just take about 5 cups of water and add the eggs to the water and bring it to a boil. Now once I let it boil for about 10 minutes completely on a low to medium flame. So keep a timer on your phone or your watch. And once it starts boiling, just turn off the flame. That is, once it boils for 10 minutes, turn off the flame and let the eggs sit in this hot water. So after the water comes to room temperature, you take off the eggs and let them just sit for about another minute or two. And then when they're cool enough for you to handle, you can just peel them. The peel comes off very easily if you follow this method. And these are your perfectly boiled eggs, hard-boiled eggs, which you can use for so many recipes. And what I like to do is I like to just chop it up and keep it aside and then use it in my recipes. So I hope you liked today's recipe. I hope you will give it a try. Do let me know in the comments box below how you liked this recipe. And don't forget to leave it a thumb. Friends, I hope you like today's recipe as well as today's video, and if you would like to see more videos like this, then don't forget to leave this video a big thumbs up. Also, by clicking the thumbs up icon. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and become a part of Akshata's recipes. Once you have subscribed, there is a small little bell icon that will pop up, so just click on that. That way, whenever I put up a new recipe or a new video, you get a message for the same. So on that note, I'll say bye and I'll catch you in my next video sooner than you think. This is Akshata saying bye, take care, stay healthy, stay fit, be kind and loving to one another. So till we meet again, bye.